pictures or however you want to view it, each direction. This is the beginning of this picture. This is the end of this picture. This is the beginning of this paragraph. This is the end of this paragraph. This is my secret code. This, I like the beginning and ends when you get into larger and larger cache pages, because this is kind of addictive, where you want to see just how fancy you can get it to look. At least for me, I don't know about Ron, but once you start really getting a lot of code that you start putting on, you really want to be almost meticulous on how you set it up. Because if you have to come back and do any maintenance at all, it's a lot easier to find your node that this is this. Yeah, exactly. Especially if you have a geochecker. A geochecker is actually a fairly large code. So to mark the beginning and the end of that is wonderful. It's a very good. And this is actually how you would do it. You got the very beginning, your greater than code, you got your less than code and then greater than code, but then all you have is a exclamation point, 2 dashes. That's the beginning of your comment, and then the 2 dashes at the very end, which is the end of your comment.
Yeah. Okay. So Gizmo Guy again. Yeah, Gizmo Guy made it. All these things we're talking about are on Gizmo Guy's page here. Yeah. And I know, yeah, here it is. Right here, what he was just talking about, right? You have the comments. And so everything's here. Hey, and don't worry if you're freaking out. Whether you're like, this is a lot of stuff. It's really not. We go back to the sandbox. That's why we wanted to show you that sandbox, or I call it practice place. Hey, if it doesn't work out, you just delete that, and you go back, copy, and you keep playing with it till then it clicks, and you're like, oh, that's what they meant. So it's not that bad. That's what the sandbox is for, to experiment. You say submit, and then if it doesn't look like what you wanted it to, you just erase it and do it again. That's what it's all about, practice. You'll definitely need to do it, practice. Hey, Gizmo Guy shows you some neat things here we won't really go into. Like, for example, I like this one here. Yeah, the horizontal rule. This one makes a line. You can make it any color. But if you want to break information up on a page, because you're getting fancy now, because you just don't do pictures and text anymore, but you are like, okay, here's my write-up, but then here's my geochecker down here, and you want to put a bar there, because now you're getting into format and you're getting very fancy. And then there's also, you want to make a list. For whatever reason, perhaps it's because, I don't know, there's lots of reasons you might put a list of information on a cache page. You've seen them, people want to give you a bunch of information. It's much easier to read it if it's in a bullet point format.
I did that in a bullet point for my cover beach tree. I wanted to specifically say, well, this is the number you need to take and add it to this, and then the next one was, so it was the bullet points that.
Yeah, for instructions it's especially helpful. Instead of you see people run all their instructions because they don't know how to do this in a paragraph, and then they even put the coordinates in line with all the rest of it. Why, it's really hard to read. That's fine if you need to do that up a couple lines on this page. It showed you how to actually put coordinates on a page where you can, I was a little higher there. Right here, pre-formatted text. All Tim's going to do is he doesn't understand the code. I'm saying he doesn't, but he's just going to copy it and he's going to paste it in our sandbox. That's all he's going to do. He's going to copy, paste. Why don't you get rid of all that other stuff? We're going to erase all that other stuff to keep it simple. That's what a sandbox is wonderful for. We can just delete all this stuff. Yeah, he wants to keep this to post it on the net as part of our notes later. We'll put on the cache page links to the YouTube videos from later, which are presently being recorded, and then to everybody's notes, the documents, the handouts, which we didn't have here. Okay. Took a little craziness there. Well, see, you can see now. Look at submit code. And you're like, I don't want to use those coordinates. They aren't mine. Well, of course they aren't. Now you see on the left, look at on the right, it's beautifully presented. And now you just put in whatever numbers you want. That's arbitrary. See, it's not so hard. Now he's going to hit submit code to now say, okay, I made these changes. Let's see what it looks like. And then you get to see what it looks like on the right again. So, let's see. So we talked about putting pictures on your page. Remember, we have to acquire it from somewhere. We have to upload it to our PC or get it off our PC, and we have to put it to PhotoBucket, link off PhotoBucket. Talked about that. We talked a little bit about doing text stuff, making things bold, changing colors. Just copy and paste the code and then play with it. That's really, and keep it simple at first. And yeah, I really don't, at the very end here, it gets more and more complicated of HTML codes, like creating a table and that, very confusing. I could never do that by hand.
I know, I looked at that site, it was like,
Yeah.
Tables help.
Tables, yeah, that's why I use front page, because it'll create a table for me, and I don't have to do it because the code's pretty busy. What else did we say? We showed you how to do a link. We showed you how to put a picture on. We showed you a little bit of text stuff. Why don't we do something, TJ, I see TJ is still here. Yeah, TJ. So, I don't know if you want to come up, TJ. We asked him, he's doing the Peanut series, and he wanted to put pictures of all the characters on his cache pages. And we're going to have him sign in into his GC account, and then we're going to search for images, and we're going to mess with his cache page right now.
Ron, can you talk a little bit about how you got the music? Was it music links, cartoons? Was that yours?
Oh, okay.
Listen to the song and
Yeah. So her question is, okay, now we're moving to the advanced level. Those of you who've been pulling out your hair, just ignore what I'm about to say. So going to the next level. So we just don't want to do pictures now. We want to put other stuff on the cache page, like sound files. Like on my Looney Tunes cache, I put theme songs from different cartoons, and you had to click on the link, and it would play that song for Peanuts. And then you'd be like, oh, Peanuts, okay, you had to figure out. Her question is, how did I do that? Well, a link is a link, just like any link, like the link to the photograph or whatever. Again, the same, let me just back up so I don't get feedback. Okay, the same apply. We have to store that file somewhere, because geocaching.com, I'm very repetitive, does not allow you to store that stuff on their place, their site. So where can you store sound files? The only place I figured out where to store them is I have a website for my business, and so I have to store it somewhere. Like PhotoBucket allows you to store photos and videos. It doesn't say sound files, so you have to find a different place to store them. I store on my business website, and then I just store that file there and I link to it exactly like I would link to photographs. Yeah. Yeah.
There is a trick. You could save a video, the sound file has a video format, and then dump it off the photograph.
Oh, Dave has a really interesting point. This is a good, if you don't have access to some your own website server space. Dave says you can upload an audio file as a video.
You have to save it as like an MP4 file or something like whatever formats are acceptable, but some of those video formats can be audio.
Okay, so Dave's point is you can upload an audio file you can still upload it to PhotoBucket. It just, you have to upload it as an MP4 video, and then it will you just gotta be careful. You upload it in that appropriate format, and then you can still link to it. That's great, I didn't know that.
Or alternatively, just look for a free web server and make your own website.
Yeah, that's harder for beginners. But maybe I go with his first thing rather than trying to do get free web or server space somewhere. Do what he said. Use PhotoBucket for your sound file as well, and just mess with it. See if it uploads like he said as an MP4, and then just like the photograph, it'll give you a link, and then you play with it in your sandbox. And you put it there, and then you view it on the right side, and then you click on it and see if your sound file plays. It's that simple. So anyway, they're working on TJ's cache page, I do believe. Just a little while ago, I showed TJ exactly what we just went through. He was really, he didn't know how to do it either. And he created a PhotoBucket account, which again takes a minute or two. It's free. And then we went to Google Images and we searched for a file for the Great Pumpkin for that particular cache. He uploaded it to his laptop and on his desktop, and then we just saved it on PhotoBucket.
I just made a general comment on, this page has, on the very top, the do not go to the postal codes, that's entered into the short description box. And you have some advice, a lot of people just said don't even bother with short description. What's the difference between that and long description?
Dave can probably answer this better than me, and her basic question is, why do we have a short description and the long description box? It seems like a lot of people ignore the short description box, including me. I don't even bother with it anymore. I think, if I remember correctly, doesn't that help you?
Separates it out. It actually gives you a general note before you actually begin your description.
Yeah, it gives you a general note before you get the bigger description.
Right.
Can't you pull that up? Doesn't that have something to do with you can pull it up in the field on a GPS in the short description, but not in the long description or something, Dave?
Maybe years ago.
Maybe years ago. That's changed then.
Yeah.
Yeah, today, up to the description's your description, and most programs will just squash it all together.
Right.
I use a short description to, obviously, as a short description. Hey, this is a puzzle. The posted coordinates aren't real. You must solve
Right.
to get that thing, in case it's a new person.
I use it for permissions.
Carrie uses it to put permission. As you know, you need permissions if you're on private property or DNR property or
Yes, I've
Waukesha
done that
County.
too.
So yes, I usually put my permissions from a given organization or private person at the end of the long description, but however you want to. So anyway, they're in TJ's, they got his cache page up on the left side, and code on the left and page on the right. Yes, except that, yeah, on the left side is the geocache page, editing page, where you enter the HTML code, as you know. And on the right side, they're currently trying to pull up his account for a PhotoBucket instead of using mine, because it was still signed into mine. It's really easy, though, to do this. When I made my Peanut series with Martin a few years ago, like we made Star Wars, we got a bunch of Star Wars images off the internet, like a character Darth Vader. It should have his photo on the page, of course, and so we did that. And really, sometimes that's just enough. It kind of puts your page together and adds a little something to it rather than just plain text. On my Amazing Race caches, on most of those, I just put a picture on now just to make it even quicker. I know a lot of people don't read pages anyway for traditional caches, so most people, I don't sometimes. We'll just finish up here in a minute. This will be our last business for the second course.
Yeah.
It takes a little time. You notice with the internet, it's a little hard. We kind of want to show you how to do a cache page, but of course it takes a little time for it to connect and sign in and all that jazz. So, anybody have any other general questions so far on things that maybe were confusing?
Well, I just know in general,
Go ahead. Oh, Nancy,
Can you use Instagram pictures?
can you use Instagram pictures? Then, yes, you can. Instagram is just another website for photo storage, isn't it there? Yeah. Well, a lot of mobile phones use that, so you can take the picture and upload from your. And you can use Google Plus. I know TJ was asking me earlier. You use Shutterbug, is it?
The Shutterfly.
Shutterfly. I couldn't figure out because I'm not that smart. But I imagine we could even use Shutterfly as well. I didn't know how to tell TJ to do that. Probably Tim will do that when we're done. I haven't created a PhotoBucket account, but TJ uses Shutterfly, which is another site where you can upload from your camera directly to the website or whatever like that.